Well, hello.
Well, hello.
I was reading this thread on Reddit, and they were saying, like, tell me you're from insert city here without telling me you're from that city. I would love to know, what would that look like for Philly and or Miami and Cincinnati?
In Philly, you have like an Eagles shirt on or an Eagles hat or something like that. That would just be it. Like some kind of cheesesteak love, maybe. But yeah.
Here it would be, so where'd you go to high school?
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Or where'd you go to school? Actually, that's the question. Where'd you go to school? And they didn't mean your college. They mean your high school. Yeah.
I feel like also people from Philly love to say that they like know someone in your family. Like, oh yeah, I know your cousin. You guys used to grow up on South 8th Street, whatever. I feel like it's also very Philly.
It's fact too. We do know your cousin.
Yeah, and you know Philly people know everybody, and I don't know how.
You know what? Brian had a call with someone the other day, and Brian says, yeah, I'm from Philly. And he's like, oh, where? And Brian gives the general neighborhood. And he was like, but where? The guy wanted the cross street.
Oh, no. That's a lot.
And he knew.
And he knew. He knew where it was.
Because Philly's not a small town.
Right. We know every block. City and suburb.
Do people from Philly suburbs, do you consider them people from Philly? Like, what's the rule?
So as a suburbanite, I can tell you that I get hell from Philadelphians about even saying I'm from Philly. Like,
oh, you're not from Philly.
No, because I'm from Abington, Cheltenham, that area. And so to anyone else in the universe, I'm from Philly.
Yeah, I wouldn't know the difference.
To a Philadelphian, if I'm from Philly, and I say, whatever. Right? And they'll be like, what side of Staten Avenue? The north side. The suburbs?
Yeah.
We have the same thing. Everyone claims they're from Baltimore, but they're really from like Bethesda or like Northern Virginia, Prince George County. So you got to get really granular. Okay, well, where are you from though? Like, are you from the city?
Are you from Baltimore? Like
me?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like actual. Okay, cool.
Absolutely. Patterson Park. Patterson Park, Baltimore, Lombard Street. That's my neighborhood. Actual Baltimore.
So Zevi in the comments is from Philly, evidently from Mount Airy, and I can tell you, and watch this. Zevi in the comments. So my grandmother is from Philina Street, right? And Rugby Street, the corner of Philina and Rugby. Do you know where that is, Zevi?
Zevi's gonna be like, yup.
I promise you, he knows exactly where that is, street by street, location by location. And it takes
we may be on a bit of a delay with comments, so we'll see it when it comes in. What's like a cardinal sin to say to someone from Cincy or Philly?
Ooh.
Well, it would. I know for Brian, it's going to be around the cheesesteak and how you order it. But that's absolutely it.
Wait, walk us through what's the appropriate way to order a cheesesteak.
Well, first of all, a few years back, when John Kerry was running for president, he came to town and asked for Swiss cheese, and they wrote it up it was the front page of the paper. See, Zevi knows exactly.
Verified.
But yeah, so you need to know what to order. And I mean, not just in conversation like this, certainly in person. Know what you're ordering, walk up to the counter and put the order in. If you're not ready, step aside. But don't sit up there and how does that come? Can I get that on the side?
Watch your language. For a second there, he almost went back to Philly. And he doesn't curse in the normal world.
Well, I definitely don't curse.
Get him talking about the Eagles or like a cheesesteak, and he turns into like this terrible person.
Oh, I mean, people at the cheesesteak places, they curse for sure.
Oh, for sure. Baltimore too. There's the standard line to order anything. You have to say, let me get, that's the way you have to order anything in food. Let me get a chicken box or crab cake or whatever. You have to start that sentence. Otherwise, they know you're a foreigner. You're not from home. Get out of here. You're going to take too long.
What's a chicken box?
Is that regional? They have chicken boxes in Philly.
Yeah, we have chicken boxes. Yeah.
Chicken box is like a little like a plastic or paper cardboard box. There's normally 4 chicken wings, 6 for the premium, with French fries, generally crinkle cut, salt, lots of salt and pepper, hot sauce, and ketchup on a box. You normally get with a half and half.
Oftentimes the cheap ketchup, like the Sodexo, like, yeah.
It was my favorite meal growing up. Like that was for me, that was like a treat to go get a chicken box. Big deal.
Never heard of this. This is good to know. This is great.
You would buy from the place where you had the little window that would only raise up this high, so you could just slide the money in and get the chicken box out, so you couldn't rob them or anything.
Chicken box, fish hoagie, pineapple soda. Like that's the kind of like classic order.
Yeah. For chicken box, a little half and half, maybe a snow cone.
There you go.
All right.
It's always chicken box because it's not actually enough food to really be.
It's really salty and you need something to supplement the fact that it's incredibly salty. So you're getting.
I'm sure it's delicious.
Delicious.
It is very, very good.
Not nutritious, but delicious.
What's a Cincinnati sin?
Cincinnati sin? Well, I mean, we're so east side, west side here. So it's very east side. Yeah, it's very
east side. Who lives on the edge.
Right? It's very east side, west side. It's also like when people are like, oh, I'm from Cincinnati, and really they're from northern Kentucky. Right? You're from Kentucky still. Like, just tell the truth about that. What's a Cincinnati sin? Yeah, there's so many of them right now.
You know what I think Cincinnati says? This could be my bias. I think it's a sin to be like single or not married.
Oh God, these people are so into it. They're so into it. You're absolutely right. You have to be on that like conveyor belt of college to marriage to babies to stay at home mom. And I mean, I got myself off that conveyor belt, but
people are like, what do you mean? What do you mean? How could you?
Yeah, it's really weird. Especially since we all live on, that's a very, well, no, it's both sides. I can't say it's just east side, but east side, I think it's worse.
Probably.
Yeah.
What would be a Miami sin?
It's all sin.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So sin is the brand. No, I don't know. See, because it's so multicultural, it doesn't have a lot of, old school things. Oh, here's one. Like going to South Beach. Miamians don't go to South Beach. Miamians don't eat like the TGI Fridays on Ocean Drive. No Miami in history has ever even stepped foot in there, even to go to the bathroom. Like that's just definitely a sin.
Facts. Torrance brought up that Cincy is all about the Skyline versus Gold Star debate.
So I've actually never had it, either one of them. I walked into one my freshman year of college here, and it smelled like chitlins. And so there was something about that rancid smell of pig intestine that just didn't sit right, of like having that on top of some noodles and a whole bunch of cheese. So the smell of the inside of the restaurant smells like innards. Throwing it out there. I know that's very descriptive, but it's just, yeah.
I will second that. I will second that. And on that note, let's get started with the show.
Yes.
We're a company and a venture capital firm that invests in companies run by women and minorities, particularly when they're away from the coast. I'm very, very focused on the Midwest. You are watching live the first pitch competition on Twitch, where you, the viewer, have an opportunity to vote for companies that you like best.
I am So every episode, we have 3 judges, plus you, the audience. You also get to judge each pitch. After each presentation, you'll see a cute little box pop up with a Twitter link for you to vote for if you would invest in the company yourselves.
During round 1, we watched as the startups presented their pitch deck in 5 minutes or less. Then the judges began their Q&A. After we selected viewer-submitted questions for the founders to answer, in the end, the audience and judges had the opportunity to vote in the poll below for the company they like best.
Candice, do you mind if we start?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. We are back. Welcome back to season 5 of Twitch Pitch, the very first pitch competition live on Twitch by your very favorite VCs here at Lightship Capital. To recap, every season we see 12 incredible companies go head to head for the grand prize of $25,000 and to join the Hall of Fame of the illustrious Twitch Pitch alum. We're so excited. For every episode, you're going to see 2 companies. You're going to see a pitch video. They're going to do a Q&A with us and you, the audience. So as you're watching the pitch, any questions or comments that might arise during their presentation, drop them in the comment box below, and I will make sure your questions get answered of the team right here live on the show. And it doesn't matter where you're watching us. It works where you're watching on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or right here on Twitch. Always leave your comments and questions below and we will get to them on the show. So for the season, everyone has a vote. Candice has 2 votes as our chairwoman in chief. Brian has a vote. I have a vote. In the audience, you have a vote as well. At the end of every segment, you will see a phone number appear where if you would invest in that company, you will see the number where you can text to say, yes, I would vote for that company and invest to win the competition this season. We're getting towards the end of this season, maybe smack dab in the middle, actually. So we're really excited to see what we're bringing to the table tonight. We're seeing a little bit of some cool things happening in health tech today. So we're really excited to bring up the companies. Before we do that, we have to thank our incredible sponsors that help us put this show on for you every season. So we want to thank JP Morgan Chase. They are a global leader in financial services for governments and companies in over 100 countries around the world. We want to thank the Ohio Third Frontier. OTF works with innovative startup companies around the state, making Ohio the destination for tech entrepreneurs. We want to thank UPS, a global leader in logistics solutions and shipping for people around the world, and the Hillman Accelerator. Hillman is the very first accelerator designed for underrepresented founders here in the Midwest, and it just happens to have been founded by our very own Candice Brackeen here. So in addition to founding Hillman, Candice leads the troops here at Lightship and is our founder and GP of the fund. She's also our expert on all things CPG and e-commerce. And to the other side of me, we have Brian Brackeen here, who's the other general partner at Lightship and is our expert on all things AI, machine learning, and computer vision. And then there's me in the middle. I'm Lexi. I lead the investment team and I love all things health tech, both digital and hardware. So with that, we're going to get started. We're really excited to meet our first company tonight. It's going to be Litesprite. Check them out.
We know video games captivate. Can they go one step further and improve health? I'm Swati, founder and CEO of Litesprite, and we build games to help people manage chronic health conditions. Clinicians and players rely on our data insights. With the pandemic, the number of people in the US suffering from a mental health issue has now doubled. A recent CDC survey found that 41% of adults are now suffering. This costs billions of dollars in lost productivity and direct costs. Our clinically validated mental health video game, Litesprite, is the first to win a US Surgeon General Award and the only one recommended by clinicians and payers today. Clinicians use our unique player-generated data to transform care through a deeper understanding of their patients. In a clinical setting, we have worked with a range of diagnoses. Litesprite is based on Bandura's social cognitive theory, a commonly accepted framework by clinicians. As a player-driven world exploration game, it is a safe place where people are empowered to explore their emotions, understand their triggers, discover what evidence-based techniques work for them, and learn those skills. Sox the Fox, the game's main character, is a peer that provides critical emotional support. Sox becomes a Zen master by teaching people proven techniques that reduce anxiety and depression. Players select from a range of mini games. Sox guides players through exercises including journaling, exploring emotions, meditation, and breathing. Suzette is a typical Litesprite player. She has several behavioral health and physical issues. As a caregiver to her adult autistic son and grandchild, her home life is very stressful. Over the past 2.5 years, whenever Suzette has had a crisis, she has trusted Litesprite. For her, it is convenient. It feels like a real game, and it helps calm her down and stay grounded, something she struggles to do. We strategically focused on establishing the key necessary market and clinical validation to drive adoption with our key buyers. Along the way, we also realized revenue. With the support of all these partners, we have laid the foundation for a business with long-term sustainable growth that is ready for acceleration. Our trajectory fits how the best digital health companies grow. This foundation includes our clinical results. It is the reason why we have won over 20 Global Health Innovation Awards. Our clinical improvement of a 2.5 reduction in the PHQ-8 translates into a person going into work 2 more days each week versus staying in bed. When Litesprite is used as an adjunct to therapy, it has the same scale improvement as a pharmacologic. Our independent health economic study is the necessary ROI evidence to encourage high provider adoption. Our clinical results generate sizable revenue opportunities. But clinical results don't matter if people don't use it. We have built a technology that solves mental health issues and that people love. Our thousands of players have already completed over 9,000 sessions. We have retention rates 3x above the industry average and 2x above the leading consumer product. With the pandemic, we have seen robust consumer demand and launched a D2C subscription. We also started receiving inbound requests from employers and launched sales activities to accelerate adoption in this channel. We were also invited to be part of Mercer Consulting's new vendor database. We started outreach efforts with payers early on. Their future growth will come through the Medicaid line of business via performance-based contracts or capitated models. We have established acceptance with these patients. These are high cost and difficult to motivate individuals that often have complex issues. And they have said Litesprite is life-changing. They're inspiration every morning, and they are ready for the next level. We are accelerating these conversations and continuing our outreach efforts with the support of strategic partners like Bayer. We are initially targeting an ICP worth $15 million. The current revenue multiples in the digital health sector are 20 to 40x. We are proud of our strategic investments by Bayer AG, Symphonia RX, Jumpstart Foundry, and now NextQ. We are leaders in the new field of healthcare entertainment. We wrote Nike's first wearable technology patents, managed the largest portfolio of mobile apps for the Department of Defense, managed data science teams for the State Department, and built consumer-facing experiences for global brands such as Disney and American Greetings. We are looking to expand our team and need marketing, sales, and operations people to help us meet our next milestones. We are also looking for introductions to employers and payers who could use our solutions. Litesprite gets people engaged. Engaged people get better faster. Thank you.
welcome to the show.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Anytime. Who wants to get started tonight? Unmute yourself, lady.
Every time. All right. So Swati, it's obvious that you are very serious about this company. It was a fantastic pitch. So can you tell me a little bit about how a care provider would interact with Litesprite?
Yeah. So when we've worked in care settings, typically what we do is we have a back-end system that gives them a unique ID. And we also have a clinic ID. And then as the patients are signed up, our back end does the matching to sign up the patients with the right provider or clinic. And then the reports that we show then the patients can be tracked individually by the provider.
Okay. And then on the D2C side, how are you engaging with potential buyers and kind of what channels are you using to reach them?
Our main channel has been through social media and specifically Facebook, and it's been incredibly successful for us. Our download costs for a subscriber are about a quarter to a third of the industry average. And generally when we run ads, we're finding about 100 to 200 people coming in organically a week is what we're seeing. So there's a very, very strong resonance. We're also getting a lot of interplay on the ads themselves. A lot of people commenting, tagging people, literally saying that this is the tool for them during their greatest hour of need.
Okay. And what gives you the right to win? So, we've all seen lots of different pitches in the therapy space with AR and VR and video games. What do you feel like gives you the right to win in this space as an org?
Because it's a solution that people can use today with the devices that they have today. And this is why we can reach the underserved. And we've already demonstrated that we are a valuable tool for them. Mental health, and you cannot change or improve someone's health if they don't have access. And quite often technology and hardware, that's a technology limitation, which is why this is my third rodeo with VR. I know about VR, which is why I didn't do VR. I did mobile, simple to use, easy to grasp. Take the approaches and coping skills that you need when you're in the middle of a panic attack and break it down into very simple steps with a friendly companion with you.
Awesome. Great answer. All right. Who's got next?
Brian.
Swati, excellent job. Excellent pitch. I was really struck by the fact that in the beginning of the pitch, I was wondering about not the science, because you seem to have the science and the design down, but then the usability and how many folks are actually using it. And then you just hit me with that answer before I could even pose it to you, which is always like slam dunk. Like you want to just leave the viewer kind of saying, oh, she's got it all figured out. So congrats on a very well designed pitch. And then you started to allude to my next question. Maybe you can go a little bit deeper. My next question was going to be around, I see a lot of enterprise and education experience. So like the Microsofts, the DODs, kind of like what we think of like larger enterprises. But then you seem to be executing well in the kind of like the startup side of the world, right? The Facebook ads, right? And that kind of thing. So how are you straddling these two worlds that are so oftentimes they don't connect?
Yeah, it's a tension that a lot of digital health companies typically have to deal with because our buyers are very risk averse. And then when you're putting in a new intervention or a new innovation like this, it's even more difficult. For us, the consumer side is a validation point. WellDoc did this, Teladoc did this, Livongo did this. They started off in the direct-to-consumer space. And then as they started showing that there was end-user appeal, the employers were saying, okay, that's great, because now I know my employees are going to use it. They're going to engage. Then once that happens, then the payers say, oh, my customer is going to adopt. Oh, okay, because these guys are not going to, they're not going to move unless they know they're going to be able to make money. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty standard trajectory, but it's also that's why health tech has such a high multiple, because a dollar of revenue in health tech is very hard to get.
Yeah, and very sticky. Another question about sometimes the people that you're hiring, it can be tough, right? To have like this kind of the perfect experience. So this show's good at not just finding investors or customers, but also sometimes finding your next hire. So who is the perfect person that you're looking for next? And what kind of skills do they bring, both hard skills and soft skills, to the table?
Empathy. We're a company about empathy. That's first and foremost. An intellectual curiosity and tenacity. We are a very small team. We punch well above our weight class considering the level of amount of funding that we've received. And it's because everybody has brought a lot of authenticity, tenacity, and this insatiable desire to literally change the world. I don't know of any other company whose beta patients are saying, "You've changed my life."
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Great to meet you.
Thank you.
Excellent. So everyone watching, please, if you have any questions or comments about Litesprite, throw them in your comment box below and I will ask them in just a second. We already see some love for you in the comments. So my question is, can you tell me a little bit more about the outcomes that you described in the pitch? You said you can get employees back to work more than 2 more days a week. Tell me more about how you reach those outcomes and what does that mean?
Yeah, and that's really that's part of the core, and that's really foundational to the company because it's science first, and it's empathetic science. And so when I started the company, I wanted to say, okay, what's the street cred that I'm going to need for clinicians? So we asked clinicians, what screens do you use? And so if you go to the doctor, primary care, or you're doing an intake in inpatient psychiatry, they're going to give you the GAD or the GAD-7 or the PHQ-8 or some form of it. And so they're the screens that we used. We were like, this was even before Apple Research Kit came out. We had to actually literally create our own version of it to collect these screens online. So that's how early this was. And we took those screens and we used real world evidence. We collected them right when the person started using the app. And then we collected it at the end of the program, which was 6 weeks. And then we looked at 12 weeks. And then we had the Ohio State College of Pharmacy independently validate this. I'm an Nittany Lion. I'm sorry, but but the Buckeyes came through for us.
That's all right. I went to UC, so it's all good.
All right. Okay, but the Buckeyes came through for us, and they've been great partners with us, and we were one of the first digital interventions to be validated.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I don't see any questions for you in the comments. I see one question for us. How do you vote? You're going to do it in just 1 second. There's a number I'm going to flash and show you, and that will be our number to text to vote for Litesprite. But I just see love for you in the comments. So thank you so much. People think it's a great pitch, great words to work and live by. And if you would like to vote for Litesprite, if you think this company should win, text the number 7. This is your time to shine. Gillian Music, to number 203-408-6432. Once again, text the number 7 to 203-408-6432. Text the number 7. Do not put the number 7 in the comment box below you. So just grab your phone wherever you're watching this, check 7 to 203-408-6432 to cash in your vote for Litesprite.
There's one quick question there, Lexi, that came in.
I see. So Just Shang 3 wants to know, what's your biggest dream for your company?
The biggest dream? I want to have tons of patients playing all different types of games. Whether you're a cardiac patient, you're a cancer patient, this is going to be the first tool that you're going to use during your therapy, while you're waiting in the office for your chemo, while you're waiting for your checkup after your bypass. You're going to be playing one of our games.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Have a great night. It was very nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right, Candice, what are your thoughts?
Wow. I think just as a team, they're going to figure it out. No matter what it is. I was surprised how far along they were just like Brian said, from the beginning to the end of the pitch, with 9,000 sessions already. Questions I have are, what does it take to become profitable in this space? I know that as we've interacted with companies before, like sometimes it's a little, and I can't say it's easy, but lots of companies have been able to pilot with different organizations so they can get those reps up. But what does it take to get to profitability? It sounds as if Swati is going the D2C route, which I think is pretty incredible. So at what point does it kind of flip and change to being more of a kind of a direct-to-consumer type of company, which I think is pretty cool. I've mentioned this before, but like one of my kids for a while was using a company called Mightier. It's a wearable you could use it with your, just any device you have, a tablet or your phone. It basically helps you to kind of regulate your anxiety and anger, et cetera. And, for me, I kind of just started seeing it on Instagram, and tried it out and used it for like 6 months, and it was great. And maybe that's her path. And so I don't know if I've necessarily seen companies at all in this particular space with games. It's all been games in a hospital setting, not games kind of direct to consumer. So I found that to be interesting.
Brian?
I love it. I think she's particularly strong, right? And I think it just makes a great founder makes the entire company always more digestible. And you start to kind of root for them, right? Because you're kind of, rooting for her. She's phenomenal. I also, just today for the first time, I think in my life, to Candice's point, considered that if I'm Zynga, I would just buy her company, make her senior vice president of medical gaming, right? And it's a whole new division and a whole new approach to a gaming company, right? It makes perfect sense, right? So yeah, it changes the way you think about exits and things.
Okay, but who's doing that? Is anybody doing that?
I honestly don't know.
I don't think any medical games have the scale to be purchased by the Zyngas yet. But I think one, you could get there, and two, it's just a different way of thinking about it.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Very cool. I like this idea. One thing, and I'm curious about all of these companies in this space really, is what does stickiness look like? Like, I know that like retention for traditional therapy is not always the greatest. And I know retention for talk spaces and the BetterHelps and Calms and Headspace isn't always great. So I'm curious as to what stickiness would look like here long term. And if that would even matter.
Do you have any games on your phone that you play consistently? Like I have a game I've been playing for 2 years.
Say their name. I don't. I go through phases. I'll be really into a game for a month and then I never see it again. Okay.
All right. Personality types. But yeah, I've got a stupid bubble pop game that I play all the time.
That's real. I'm into Killer Sudoku. And so while we think about our next favorite game, let's see what company is up next. Let's meet the team at Rubitection.
Awesome.
Superman, the greatest American hero, played by Christopher Reeves, fell from his horse and became paralyzed from his neck down. He survived for 9 years thanks to the best healthcare he could afford until he developed a bed sore that led to his death. And he's not alone. Bed sores kill twice as many people as car accidents every year, affecting 2.3 million people, killing 60,000 of them needlessly. If you can detect the condition early, you can prevent it. But early detection is difficult, The early test is manual and unreliable, affected by things like the lighting in the room or the color of the patient's skin, making people of color over 2 times more likely to get this condition, while costing the US healthcare system $11 billion in 1 year alone, a cost that insurance is no longer covering if it develops within the facility, shifting that cost back onto the facility. There are many healthcare conditions we cannot control, like cancer. Bed sores are not one of them. My goal is to eradicate this condition with the Rubitection assessment system. It's a patented handheld device that allows any user to detect a bed sore at its earliest stage. It's used with a software that supports risk analytics, care management, and telehealth, allowing any caregiver to save lives, save time, and save money, while allowing healthcare facilities to increase their Medicare earnings. I'm Dr. Sana Gaspard. I'm the CEO of Rubitection and the primary inventor of this technology. My vision is to stamp out this problem by making our solution the global standard tool for skin health monitoring. And we have the team to do that. I have a background in health tech commercialization. Dr. Hines develops our custom algorithms, and Michael Schilling supports prototype design and fabrication. We've surrounded ourselves with experts in the field. To get to market, we've already raised $1 million in pre-seed funding, used it to build a functional prototype, and clinically test it on patients in nursing homes. The results show that we can detect the early biomarkers of a bed sore with 96% accuracy. Compared to our competition, we are easier to use, more reliable, and lower in cost. This will allow us to dominate a $4.3 billion US market, which includes sales to hospitals, nursing homes, and home health agencies. We'll sell our product for $120 per unit, plus $4 for a disposable cover. And here is how we make money. For every 1 device we sell, we make $22,000 in recurring revenue. Multiply that by 12 devices on average, gives us $264,000 a year per facility. With over 6,000 hospitals in the US, that gives us a total addressable market of $1.6 billion. Within 5 years of launching our product on the market, we think we can capture 6% of that market, giving us a total sales of $100 million. And $264,000 is just 20% of what a facility might spend just treating bed sores a year, yielding an ROI of 411% over the lifetime of the device. And facilities have already started contacting us to either purchase the technology or to clinically collaborate with us. In 2021, we'll be working with 3 facilities to do additional testing. To scale to the broader market, we'll be working with strategic sales and distribution partners here, all who have provided letters of interest. Just earlier this year, Procter & Gamble evaluated us to be their next billion-dollar brand. To get our product to market, we're currently focused on prototype development before moving on to product development with the goal of launching our product in 2023. And bed sores are just the beginning. With the broader application of our same technology to other healthcare conditions like diabetic foot ulcers, we can increase our market to over $34 billion. But we're starting first with bed sores because no one should have to die from them. They are preventable. And with our technology, we can empower anyone with the ability to detect them early to reduce costs and save lives. And I invite you to join our revolution to improve care and do well while doing good. Sign up to be a clinical partner. Reach out to explore corporate partnership. Apply to join our team. I'm excited to talk to you. To learn more, go to rubitection.com.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity. I love the whole concept.
Candice is blown away.
Candice is speechless.
Dr. Gaspard. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, but you can call me Santa.
Okay, well, you know what? You earned the doctorate, so I just wanted to make sure before I was there. All right, Santa, why did you get into this? Like, what was that moment in time where you're like, I'm going to fix things for bed sores? Like, what was the moment?
Yeah, that moment happened while I was in grad school. So I developed the technology for my doctoral thesis, and I became acutely aware during the process that a lot of people, it was back in the day when startups were not sexy. Like, you did your research, you published, you went and got a job with a large corporation. And I always had a passion to run my own medical device company because I have lots of ideas for solutions to healthcare problems, and I wanted to have control over what I worked on. So I became acutely aware that I really wanted to work on a project that would be more than a thesis. I wanted to work on a project that I could translate out and then have actual real impact on healthcare. And it's not a sexy story, but in a rehab engineering class, the professor was older because I was like 22, 23 at the time. I had never heard of a bed sore. So he was like 67-ish, almost 70. And he was like one of those crazy professors who would like be like, your class assignment for the week is to go around everywhere in a wheelchair and take public transport. And everywhere you have to go, you have to use a wheelchair. So you can understand how people with disabilities have limitations, not just because they're in a wheelchair, but because society's not designed for them to live in it. Right. So he like brought up the topic of bed sores for me as a project for my thesis. And it basically hit on all the things I was looking for. It was a huge healthcare problem that no one was really focused on. It was very common. It was something that was preventable with technology because the early detection test wasn't really reliable. And if you could develop a solution to that, it would improve healthcare outcomes. And then for me, what solidified it was that when I went and researched it to see if it was someplace I could really have impact, I learned that it was a health disparity for people of color. And that's, as a result, we end up with the most severe cases that lead to amputation, infection, and death. And I was like, outrageous. And I was like, made me think of my family. I was like, what if I got sick and went to the hospital? Like, I could survive whatever illness and then get a bed sore just because they can't see it because my skin is darker. And I was like, that at that point, then I knew, I was like, this is my project. I was like, this is going to be my startup.
Awesome. Okay, so tell me, is this defensible?
Yes, it's patented.
And tell me a little bit about this kind of recurring revenue model. So I saw that it's $120, but I'm going to get $22,000 from it. So help me understand the leap there.
Yeah, so right now for this condition, to help monitor it, let's say in ICUs where patients are at the highest risk, they do the skin assessment twice a day. So if you're in the ICU, they'll come and check your skin twice a day because it's required monitoring for Medicare because it affects their Medicare payments. Also, just because there's a high liability around it because families can sue, they also check high-risk patients on admission. So we estimated, for a hospital with focus just on their ICUs, let's say a 30-bed, 50-bed ICU, they might have maybe 5 or 10 of those, and that we're checking those patients twice. The nurses are checking the patients twice a day, as well as checking the high-risk patients being admitted, which could be, let's say, 20 to 30% of the people being admitted for trauma, any kind of emergency situation where they are, unconscious, they can't move, they're going to be in the bed. And so with that calculation at a high level, we assume the patients would be there on average about 10 days to 2 weeks, getting that assessment twice a week, and then basically take that over the year as you calculate it per month, and it gets you to 264.
And then I'm just going to ask a random question. Where are you and your team based?
I am between Pittsburgh, PA, and Rochester, New York.
Awesome. All right. Who's up next?
I just want to call out, today was the Pennsylvania show. We had a lot of Pennsylvania love, all the brilliance.
Yeah, I saw that when you guys were talking about Philly. I haven't spent a lot of time in Philly, but I was like, Pennsylvania.
Exactly. Our people. Yes, super impressed. Great pitch. I love when you reach off and then you kind of like bring like, and here's the real thing, like not theory, like here it is. Like
right now.
Exactly. Very, very powerful. Also, medical devices aren't always attractive. They aren't always really well designed, as you're well aware. So which takes me to my first question. Like, how long, what was your inspiration? Like, how did you get it to be that form factor? How hard was that?
In all honesty, that wasn't that hard, particularly because my background is in engineering and medical device design, and I'm a creative mind. But what really helped me to formalize the design, because it's designed in part from my own personal experience as well as experience talking to nurses. So for my PhD research as well, I was going into nursing homes and collecting data for bed sores. And basically they would like treat me like a nurse. They'd be like, go in there and diagnose this bed sore. And I'd be like, okay, for this research study. And then as I was doing that, I realized all of the usability issues that you have as you're trying to do this assessment by yourself, both on people of lighter, fairer skin tones, as well as people on darker skin tones. And on darker skin tones, I really couldn't see what I was supposed to be looking for. And so understanding like all the intricacies of doing that measurement. Oftentimes the nurses are by themselves. They can only use one hand at a time, so that you have to consider weight and how easy it is to hold. And there's several sites on the body they have to do that while holding the patient in place, again, doing it by themselves. So with that knowledge, I kind of put the design together. Then we showed it to nurses, got additional feedback, and optimized the design. So for me, from my perspective, it wasn't too hard because I had intimate knowledge already, and then access to nurses just to get feedback that it was like a shape they would like. And then the base station is because nurses are like, yeah, we need it at the nursing station. So it can either download data into the EHR and recharge, and everybody can find it. They have to share it.
Awesome. And one last question. You mentioned in your pitch toward the end, you're going to be hiring and bringing on new teammates. What are the areas you need to add on to the team?
Yeah, so great question. This year, we're trying to bring on a product development manager because our goal is to go into product development towards the end of this year, early next year. We want to do a clinical research coordinator because we're trying to set up clinical studies, as I mentioned, this year with a few facilities. We need a business development manager to help additionally with a corporate outreach. We want to start reaching out to Medicare plans, also exploring the other markets in the skincare market. So we've had some interest from large companies in the medicated skincare space because what they're realizing is that they may have the creams and solutions for patients to put on their skin, but the patients are not using it because they don't have a way to monitor incremental changes in the skin. So they're looking for technology to support that. And so there's not a lot of skincare tech per se outside of like software. So it's not a lot of stuff that actually measures your skin and looks at the health of your skin. So we also want to start doing some of that outreach because it's a play for either additional licensing or broadening out our exit strategy. Make a long story short. Those would be the main positions we're trying to bring on now. And potentially a marketing person, but we might combine that with the business development person.
Thank you so much.
For the sake of time, I'm actually going to steal an audience question. As a reminder, if you have any questions for Santa about Rubitection, throw them in the comment box below. So Torrance wants to know, I assume that this part is made of molded plastic. How are you assembling it? Is it screws, snap fit, whatever you feel comfortable sharing?
Torrance has to be an engineer. Torrance, great question. It's a great technical question. Right now, this particular prototype is 3D printed actually, and it's printed to optimize cost. So the probe is one piece with a cover that snaps on as well as screws into place. And then the base station is also 3D printed into 3 pieces that screw together. It's 3 pieces and then you put them together and screw it in place.
Excellent. And Torrance is an engineer, in case you were curious.
Yeah, only an engineer would ask that question. I love it, but thank you.
And then we have a question from one of my favorite technical people. I won't out their first name, but I'll just say Dragomir 2020, a founder we really like, wants to know, have you considered the environmental impact of using disposable covers or shields? Are they recyclable or compostable?
So another great question. It's hard to get an answer for that right now for a few reasons. As a medtech technology, we have to use FDA-approved materials if they're coming in contact with the skin. So we don't get a choice to be like, oh, we're going to go use this because it's best for the environment. it has to be FDA approved to be safe. It's not going to be toxic. It's not going to cause some kind of adverse reaction with patients. So from that, we can choose the best that we can, things that are maybe biodegradable. But generally, biodegradable means that if it's inserted in the body, it will degrade. Not if it's used externally that it will degrade. Normally, things you're using externally on the body, you don't want them to degrade because you have to clean it, etc. So in terms of the environmental impact, we have considered that. Right now, we don't have a mitigation plan for that, partly because of the regulations with FDA that we have to use FDA-approved, safe plastic material that's not going to leach or spread toxins into the skin. So I don't have a good answer for that right now in terms of what we can do to mitigate the environmental impact other than trying to make it recyclable. But it's, again, what's available on the FDA approved list.
Absolutely. And Torrance, as a follow-up, wants to know, have you looked at plastic welding? It could help save some money. Also, to Dragomir's point, you can find weldable, environmentally safe plastic too.
For the disposable, so the disposable is going to have one or two designs, like a Band-Aid that you rip off. Like on a Band-Aid you put on the device that you rip off, so there's nothing really there to weld. Like we're not putting two pieces together. So it'd probably be a molding approach where we mold it, or there's a lot of, there's a few companies that are specialized in medical disposable parts. So we would work with them to figure that out, but it's probably going to be molded or a stacked up, kind of like if you think of 3M has like things you stick on the wall where you rip part of it off and you stick it, something like that. So it's not something you would weld per se. It's more like a soft material, like a Band-Aid-ish, because we also, from a mechanical standpoint, we can't injure the skin either in the application. So it's not going to be made of a very hard material.
Great. Excellent. So if you would like to vote for Rubitection to win the competition, if you would invest in this company, text the number 8 to 203-408-6432. Text the number 8 to 203-408-6432 if you would invest in Rubitection to have Sana win this competition. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a great show.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Oh, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Candice.
I don't know what to say. I don't know how she made bed sore seem so exciting. Like, how do you, like, you guys, why is it the most unsexy companies like really do it for me? I enjoyed that so much. And we were talking about bed sores, you guys.
Because she laid it all on the line for you. You like that bad pun? Did you like that?
I mean, I don't know. It's a big problem, right? She laid out a big problem and she has got a great solution and there's no one else out there doing it. We just got people running around poking people's skin and hoping for the best. That's like no way to treat your grandmother. Like, I believe society should be judged on the way that we treat people as they're aging. And we've not been doing a good job of it. And it just keeps getting progressively worse. Let's look at what's happened over the last year. Who has died, right? And so this is a big problem that she's trying to solve for people as they're aging and people with disabilities. I think that that's huge. Man, she made it sound easy though. That's where I'm kind of messed up. And so Brian, I guess my question to you is, how solid do you think the technology is with detecting this with all types of skin colors?
So we know about the problems with sensors.
Yes.
And there's implicit biases up and down the stack. However, it seemed and sounded to me that she was doing some work, not just in Pennsylvania, but also upstate New York. And that's a part of the country that specializes in photonics and specializes in these areas. In fact, this weird stats that Brian keeps, 50% of the PhDs in this discipline come from upstate New York, globally, 50%. So she seems like she's working with the right people and the right firms and the right regions to get to the right answer for all skin tones.
Wow, only we could do work up there eventually. Who knows? So any other thoughts on this company, Brian?
That stat was that's the best I can do. I'm not even going to try to put anything else on top of it.
Yeah, I think she's solving a problem in a wildly overlooked industry. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's an $11 billion problem, right? That's it. Full stop.
Yeah, I don't know. Tonight was a lot of fun. Just like, I think most people know this. I love women scientists. I just think they're phenomenal. I wish I was one. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But there's something about the way that I love this new like class of women solving issues that they're getting funded for, right? We've been solving issues for a long time, but like they're finally being recognized for it and getting funded. So it was exciting to see both of them tonight.
Absolutely. We're so excited about those companies, and I can't wait to show you all who we're going to meet next week. So this has been another great episode of Twitch Pitch. It's Thursday, which means you won't see us in 2 days. You'll see us next Tuesday, wherever you're watching us, Twitch, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever. You'll see us Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place, to see 2 more companies compete for the prize. We're really excited. We'll see you then. And once again, a special thank you to all of our sponsors, JP Morgan Chase, the Ohio Third Frontier, the Hillman Accelerator, and UPS for helping us do this time and time again. It's always a pleasure and the highlight of our week. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Oh, I waved it.
What's this thing about waving or not waving on camera? I wave. Why not?
I wave.
Yeah. Well, first of all, these lights have got to go off. I'm so over. It's just so much light, and I appreciate that everybody wants, but look at all that.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, you look great either way.
I know. It just looks a little like witness protection without the lights. So, yeah.
That's why it's behind the scenes, because now you can go be a little more chill.
Yeah.
So for the good people at home, I think we were talking about we're going to start doing just the before show, but not as much after, because we all get so tired.
Yeah, and I get to go pick my kids up from lacrosse, so that's where I'm off to now.
Yeah.
Now that everybody knows.
Wow. Well, either way, it's late. We had a great time, and we'll see you guys in a few days.
Bye.
Bye.